Okay, well, hello everybody for this emergency roundtable. Is it even a review? I don't know. Reaction to basically the reveal of our new Doctor, supposedly, apparently, Billie Piper. Um, let's get straight into this. We're going to be covering the episode itself, the Reality War separately, and everything leading up to it. So anything literally leading up to the moment where her face appears, but let's leave that for this particular session and discuss shooting at another time. But yeah, Billy. I think we were discussing this beforehand. I think actually everybody had sort of heard the rumours beforehand, slightly, to one degree or another. I should say, by the way, I'm joined by Joe and Miles and Pete, and hopefully Josh later on. But I mean, Miles, let's turn to you straight away because you're more limited for time on this one. So
Yes, yeah.
tell us your
I'll be
reaction in
I'll
that
be
moment.
jumping off for another podcast in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an insane moment because I had, as you guys know, I'm not one for rumors, and I didn't hear anything about this series at all. And we had so many surprises in this episode. Not least Jodie and all that other stuff, but we'll go into that. And not knowing for sure whether it was going to be a regeneration, and it happened. And in that moment, you're kind of thinking, as the camera pans out, and you're like, are they just going to cut there? Or is that going to be it? A la Power of the Doctor, like that could have ended with the shot of Jodie on the cliff, and that's it. Could have been Ncuti in the box, and that's it. But as soon as the face morph started, and that blonde-haired face appeared again, it was just you felt the cinema gasp collectively, and it was an incredible moment. It was a real incredible moment, and I love having that memory now of seeing that live in the cinema. And Billie Piper, there she is. I don't know, what had you guys heard about the rumors? What extent of the rumors?
There was something that was going to go to the tabloids around the time of the BAFTAs, wasn't there, Rich?
Yeah,
Or,
so about a month ago, 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. It basically when BAFTAs took place, and she was at the BAFTAs, and I think the same person who'd been leaking all the stuff about the season had basically said, "Oh, the new Doctor is at the BAFTAs. She's female and she's familiar to Doctor Who fans, and it's something that's going to bring the first 20 years of the revived era full circle." And there were rumours about it reaching the tabloids. I'm guessing they got hold of it, but for whatever reason decided not to publish the story. But it's quite funny in hindsight because that next day she was actually on all of the front pages. In that outfit that she was wearing, like kind of pink thing she was wearing at the BAFTAs. Yeah, there was all that stuff kind of going on just under the radar. Yeah, so I think it kind of nearly leaked. Maybe.
Hey, look at this! It's got a
Hey,
prop as well.
There we go.
there it is.
Wow,
There's a reason we keep you around,
piece
Pete.
of history.
Yeah, that's from today because I was looking today actually, and she's not actually. I think she's on one or two today, but like it's not like a usual new Doctor thing where
And nothing
new
in
Doctors
terms
everywhere.
of like I thought as soon as I got on the Instagram account, I was like, there's going to be the
like a
classic
press
sort of
release and
here's Billy in front of the TARDIS in Shooty's costume. She's going to look great in that costume. Can I just say, like, it's such a perfect transitional costume. Like, I think both Shooty and Billy would look great in that outfit. And it's just so shocking that there's nothing on the Instagram account of, like, at least that I've seen, of Billy.
No, there's no like
other than
official
from Russell and
photograph
Billy
of her
herself,
yet or
yeah.
anything like that one with Capaldi where he's like doing that, and
Yeah,
there's always
you know.
and Jodie in the hoodie in the woods and stuff. There's
Yeah,
always a
and there's
photograph
just been
usually.
nothing.
So yeah, and perhaps I suppose we'll be on that later on, but perhaps that speaks to what's happening
Yeah.
or not happening, or whether she's actually the Doctor or not. I suppose.
I think they're going to do some specials because I think this is how they're going to close the Disney deal. As I said to Rich prior, they're going to go off as they came on. So like Tennant specials were produced by Bad Wolf, then streamed.
Yeah.
So I don't think this
I can't see,
having any financial involvement.
Certainly Billy, I can't see doing a full
Yeah.
run. I could see her doing maybe a special or something like that. And I suppose we're open to, who knows how quickly could turn around a special now, given that we're not relying on Shooty's availability anymore. We're just sort of thinking, who have we got? Can we turn something around before Christmas, maybe? Who knows? Anyway, on that bombshell, I've got to dash off for knowing who. So good luck with the rest of you chaps, and hello
Thank
to
you very much,
Josh, who I'm
Miles.
assuming is going to pop up soon.
Fingers crossed.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
Right.
Yeah.
Pete, let's turn to, now we've had some positivity from Miles. should we turn to your
The other
response,
extreme.
perhaps, and whether it's changed or not at all since
Well, I
the moment?
think that your thoughts about what I think about it is wrong, because I was quite
Go for it.
I was quite negative yesterday. I think a lot of that I was just reacting about. I think I was just, being a bit of a joker, being a bit of a, acting up. It's not what I would have done if I was in charge of the show. But I think she's a good actor. I think she'd be a good doctor. I think you hit the nail on the head, Richard, in one of your most recent videos with Ed. I think the problem is that it's so recently with Tennant. We've had that, for want of a better word, gimmick so recently. But I thought it was good. It was nice that they managed to keep it a secret. It had kind of almost leaked a little bit, but they mostly managed to keep it a secret that he was going and he was coming in. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know. I've lost a lot of faith for Russell's writing in this era, but at the end of the day, he's still the person who inspired me to want to work in TV, and I've a lot of love for his previous era, and even actually love for this era. I know a lot of people have been quite negative with a lot of the stories, but I've read most of them. So I'm intrigued. Yeah.
And have you moved yet your photograph of you and Billy from the companions section
To
to
your
the
doctor wall?
doctor's section yet? So
Not yet, no.
is that still?
No.
I spoke because I think I've mentioned this elsewhere, but I was checking Wikipedia last night, and they hadn't updated the collage yet. I was showing you guys, wasn't I? But they updated the list of doctors. The 16th Doctor, Billie Piper, 2025 till who knows. And then, as of this morning, they'd altered that. They'd amended it to say, oh, hang on, she wasn't revealed, or she didn't come back as the 16th Doctor. She came back at the end of the story, but in this undisclosed role or whatever. But I think, ever since the actual moment it happened, there's been actually this kind of mounting sense of ambiguity of is she the Doctor? Is there something else going on? Obviously, all stemming from that card in the credits at the end, where it just says introducing Billie Piper, not introducing Billie Piper as the Doctor. You have Ncuti as the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, introducing Billie Piper. And the more I think about that as well, actually, I suppose we'll get onto this, but the more I think about it, okay, maybe there is something weird going on there. People have said, because obviously she absorbed the heart of the TARDIS way back in your series 1, and that series. Could it be something to do with that, or when the moment kind of took her form? We've had this stuff happen in the past where, literally the moment there where she was back, but she wasn't playing the same character, and so I wonder whether it's a same thing here, like a different thing to her being the Doctor, where perhaps it's the TARDIS, or like a kind of Watcher thing, a kind of a mid thing between two incarnations, where I don't know, the Doctor reconnects with the heart of the TARDIS or something, and something happens there.
Given the way 15 forces the regeneration, so it's like to rip the vortex apart or something, isn't it? To get a very specific moment to get Poppy back, isn't it? Yes. And then to get time to alter around it. Granted, he channels all his regeneration into, the beginning of the regeneration into the TARDIS to force it. I wonder if, because that has made the connection with the TARDIS, Russell's going to go, I'm a genius here. Billie Piper looked into the heart of the TARDIS. So what we're going to do here is, if we have him connected, he's going to subconsciously pick that face. And once he has that face, next series, there's going to be something wrong with the vortex. And then there's going to be a villain who takes advantage of that. So maybe this whole reality hoo-ha, because Ruby does say the gods play tricks. So maybe this isn't fully quite over.
There are a few things, I suppose, aren't there, with this, where it's a few funny things that have been around on socials and stuff. So obviously there's the thing of Billy coming back and it bringing the 20 years of New Who full circle. There's the thing of her being the Bad Wolf and the production company being Bad Wolf. The Bad Wolf has returned to Bad Wolf. I think perhaps most amusingly is the clip, or various clips actually, of Christopher Eccleston that have been going around.
Sack Russell T Davies.
There's that one.
Sack Phil Collins.
She's just sat next to him, Which so that's been going
that
around
Jane
again, and people
Transit,
kind of
Julie
zooming in on
Garner?
her reactions and just saying, "Oh, this is funny in hindsight." And also, I think Pete, you brought this one up as well. There's one, isn't there, where Chris is talking about how, well, he's talked about it a few times, but how, in retrospect, he would have had Billy as the Doctor in 2005 and him as the companion or whatever. And like, that's a really spooky video where he literally prophesizes this. It's almost like he's manifested it into existence, where he's going, "Oh yeah, like I've heard Russell is back." It's his wish. There we go. Desiderium or whatever the babe was called. Yeah, like he said, "Oh, I've heard Russell's back," and you know what I would do if I was him. I would have Billie Piper as the Doctor. It's just strange, and now that has literally happened. Oh yeah, hey! Second time lucky.
You know what?
The one who waits, that was us.
It was lost.
I was going to say, I think that arguably that whole palaver of me trying to get onto this Zoom call was perhaps more interesting than the episode.
Hold that thought for the full review. But we were just talking about Christopher Eccleston actually, and how he manifested this. He said, "Oh, I've heard Russell's coming back to the show. If I was Russell, I would have Billie Piper as the Doctor." So he's literally kind of like, he's still having this influence, even though he's never going to come back. Nothing. He's still kind of like influencing stuff from afar. His influence is felt. There's funny stuff like that, and also like just little trivial stuff like that. The fact that she's doing the series with Eccleston, the Big Finish series, and she's still doing like convention appearances, I'm pretty sure, unless she cancels them. But it's that weird thing of like, okay, she's kind of the Doctor, or maybe not, as we've discussed, but at the same time, like, she's been in it before, and it's that weird thing, I suppose, like, where if you had a brand new actor, they wouldn't have any of that baggage or any of that other stuff going on, whereas she's literally like already been thrown in, and she's in the midst of all that kind of stuff already. It's like, we're going to be watching her on TV, and then at the same time, depending on how the timescales work, it's like, oh, the next day or the next week, here's Big Finish's latest Rose Tyler, Billie Piper box set or episode.
Because the Eccleston and Billie Piper Big Finishes, they're out for the next 2 years, aren't they? So there's 2 years of those.
Oh, that's weird,
is it?
Isn't it?
Okay, yeah. So
she could have done her.
Be running.
She could have left by the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this how they're going to fill the gap? That she's going to be like, right, Big Finish, take
Billie
over.
Piper, Billie Piper this, Billie Piper audio, Billie Piper TV. Yeah. And I saw as well, shortly before we came on to this, actually, there's like someone had posted a photo. I think it's like one of the first photos of from the Christmas Invasion when David Tennant started filming with her, obviously. And it's a photo of those two outside the TARDIS, and the person was saying, imagine telling somebody at that point that you're looking at a photo of the 14th and the 16th Doctors.
Oh, it's mad.
It's just like, it's crazy. But Josh, I mean, over to you. What was your initial response to this? I'm assuming, had you heard like some of the rumours, the rumblings?
I heard the rumours that it was going to be Billie Piper, because in the last 2 weeks or so, I've become quite involved with the leaks more than I had been prior to that point, because people started talking to me about Omega and saying, there's a friend of mine who told me about the fact that Ncuti was going to leave and that the 16th Doctor had already been cast. And it was only when he goes into the TARDIS and he says, "Oh, I really liked having this face." I was like, oh, it's happening. It kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think that Billie Piper is the 16th Doctor, because
we've touched on this slightly, but go on, give us your.
It doesn't
theory.
say that she is anywhere, and in fact, the press release says who, what, and when. You have to wait and see.
Who, what, why, how.
Why.
Literally every single
and
word.
if it will actually happen, if it will actually come back.
Well, there's that as well, isn't there? Yeah.
I feel like it's a TARDIS thing. I feel like the TARDIS has like interrupted the regeneration somehow, and it's like a double thing of she's saying, "Oh, hello," to the camera because yes, I'm obviously Billie Piper, but also, "Oh, hello," because she's not the Doctor. She's like the TARDIS who's suddenly in the Doctor's body somehow. A bit of a sort of a cross between Power of the Doctor and the Doctor's wife, maybe. where the
Blimey.
TARDIS has now taken form.
It would kind of
Yeah,
explain
pit
that
stop.
moment more, wouldn't it? Because like she says, "Oh, hello," but like in theory, she can't actually see her reflection in that moment, so it's a bit weird. But if it was actually like the TARDIS or something merging with the Doctor, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
I was disappointed we didn't see Susan at the end either, given the build-up for the past few weeks. But I thought the regeneration was fine. I thought it was bittersweet. The reason that he actually regenerated, giving up his life to save like Poppy, I really liked, and I thought it was quite bittersweet where he does save her, but it's not his child anymore. I thought that was quite a cruel twist, like the gods playing tricks, and that was like their last trick. I quite like that. I didn't like what they did to Belinda as a result, and sort of recontextualizing her character in that way. I think that Belinda really suffered in this two-parter. She really had nothing to do.
She literally got put in a box. We'll
She
touch
just
on it
put in a
later.
box doing
Yeah.
nothing. So I thought that was quite poor, actually, especially considering she's, I think, been a very strong character up to this point. To suddenly just change all of her motivations to go, I'm just sticking with Poppy. That's who I am now. I'm a mother. And then to just go, oh, actually, yeah, I've been a mother the whole time. And I'm going back to... But no. And I think it's done her character a massive disservice to sort of water her down in that way at the end. I didn't like that. And I'm not going to speculate too much, unless you guys have, about how much was changed from what was originally planned to happen. But it did seem like as soon as the Doctor went into the TARDIS and you have that scene with Jodie, it seemed like something shifted where it was like, what's happening here? Because
Josh, we're going to have nothing to talk about on the Reality War review.
Yeah. Well, I had to
sneak
get it
preview,
out there because
but
it seemed like it's related to the Billie Piper thing, because I think
It
that
is.
the regeneration, it did start to come out of nowhere. Not even in like an Eccleston way. It just started to take a bit of a left turn.
I think that there was definitely a sense, because I've always thought, and I think a lot of people have always thought, it would be great to have a surprise regen.
Yeah.
I think actually in hindsight now, what I would say, instead, or kind of to pin that down, it's nice to not know who the Doctor's going to turn into, but I think actually not revealing that this is like the final story for a Doctor until the night is a little bit
silly,
bit iffy, because however it goes, and we will get into this more in the full review, I suppose, but like it just, like with Ncuti this time, it felt like, and he's had a short run, an extremely short run really by other Doctor standards, but even so, it just felt like, oh, we weren't prepared. It felt like almost like they were kind of improvising, like what we were seeing was improvised as well on the screen and stuff. Like, and it's a weird one because they explain it and there's the reason with Poppy in it. It's all kind of there, but it just, it couldn't help but feel strange and kind of wrong and perverse almost. Like, oh, this shouldn't be happening. This doesn't feel right. So yeah,
very
that definitely
muddied.
kind of set a backdrop, a weird backdrop. And to then have Billy on top of that, it's like, oh,
I
think pretty much
definitely
everything since everything after that scene with Jodie, and maybe a little bit of the stuff before in Unit, perhaps, but definitely everything after was all reshoots, as far as I'm aware.
Well, Unit was
All
his
the
last day on
regen
set,
stuff,
I think.
basically. Yeah, and there's been speculation about whether that, even that with that scene, whether that was entirely new or like a merge of new and old stuff where they reworked the way it ended or something. But there was that strange sense watching it, like at that point where it's like, oh, I don't know, and maybe for a casual viewer it would be different because they wouldn't know there have been reshoots. But yeah, I think sadly you could kind of tell where the joins were and stuff, couldn't you? And it set that kind of that weird backdrop to
It just felt like 2 episodes. It genuinely felt like it felt like 2 parts, but the first cut extremely, like getting off topic. But all the stuff prior with the Rani, that's dealt with incredibly quickly. Omega's wrapped up within about 5 seconds. Then you suddenly just in this different story where it feels like, right, you know that original concept we had for season 3 where he needs to go and find Poppy? Yeah, we'll write that into the last half an hour of this. And you know what I mean? It feels like, oh, we're going to get, you know, it just feels like a B plot.
I need to rewatch it in full again. I've rewatched bits of it, but going back to that stuff, I was intrigued. Oh, like, can I tell where like the reshoots happened?
The seamers, yeah.
And the seamers, yeah. And I think you're on the money there. I think watching it back before or like when the Poppy stuff is happening, and kind of halfway through, it's like, oh yeah, there seems to be an outcome here where he goes to like the plot of season 3 is him going to find Poppy or whatever. That there seems to be that turning point where then it shifts to obviously the sacrifice and all that kind of stuff, because it's so drawn out, all that stuff, isn't it? They spend so long hammering home the point that she's not there and then that he's got to save her, and it's like it goes on for a long time. But Billie Piper
she can be the 16th Doctor, genuinely. I think it's brilliant casting. She's a brilliant actress. However, they should have done this if with the 14th Doctor. I feel they've done it too late. It's like a misstep. Rather than David, it should have been Billy earlier on. Then, obviously, we've had the complications with the Ncuti era, whatever's happened with his contract and what's not happened and whatever's rumoured and whatever's true and whatever's not, whatever's been thrown out of the window, whatever's right. But it's like, I feel this is a misstep because it's like, as we previously said, it's 2 bookends of RTD1. And I feel like she could be really good as the next incarnation, even though we don't think she is, but they just need to get rid of Russell T Davies because he is a god-awful writer.
All right, Christopher Eccleston, yeah.
But honestly, like, I do not have faith, and I'm going to say this, he can write a female Doctor based on how he wrote women in this story. There are a few prime examples. There's someone who holds a door open for the story, and someone who gets put in a box. Jodie Whittaker is the only saving grace.
Hold that thought for that. We will, I'm sure, get onto that in good time in the full review. Interesting. Yeah, because I think going back to what I was saying, I struggle if it is like for a full season or for a full era. I'm slightly warming to it and like getting used to the idea, but I still struggle to see her like, I don't know, like fighting Daleks or doing all that kind of doctory stuff, having a companion.
We never saw Ncuti fighting Daleks, so maybe it doesn't matter.
To be honest, that might never happen. Yeah, exactly, and it might never happen again. But I don't know. I think personally, I'm leaning towards the idea if it was for specials or just something that may or may not have been commissioned yet. Even they might not even know themselves, but like just something to ease the transition to the next one. I don't know. It still feels like a bit of a weird choice because even if it was that, it would then feel a bit weird. Like I suppose for the next female Doctor to just be like a transitional one, like kind of Joe Martin 2.0 kind of thing, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. What do we think it's going to look like, kind of going forwards with her and like?
It's weird.
What is the future? What's going to happen?
No one witnesses the regeneration, do they?
No.
So it is like they've done
apart from the star.
It feels like they've done a clean slate, like whenever Peter or Jodie regenerated. It feels like they've genuinely just done a whole new... So are we going to get a new supporting cast and crew, maybe keep Unit? Because even the way in Unleashed, they were talking about Belinda and Ruby, it doesn't sound like they're coming back.
No.
Because they were like, oh, this is goodbye to them.
Yeah, like what's going to continue beyond this era? Because we have those kind of a few plot threads, which... Yeah. I think it's pretty clear, like, they're expecting Ncuti to do another season at least, and then, therefore, that stuff would have been with him. But stuff like The Boss, which I was assuming would be the Rani Mrs. Fleur because of the fur coats. Oh, that's the Mrs. Fleur. That could have been explained away very easily. But no, that they're keeping that going.
That's what happens when you just try inferring something.
Maybe she is, though.
Sorry,
she escapes.
That was a bad pun.
Very good. Yeah, sorry, that passed me by. Well, it could still be the Rani, and they're just going to go back to.
Yeah, because she escapes at the end, doesn't she? She teleports away.
Maybe. I don't know. I struggle to think who it could be, to be honest. Now we've had like Omega or however they're going to say it, and and the Rani and Sutek. It's like, what would the next thing be? Obviously the Master is still on the board, isn't he? Like as the Tooth. That's
blimey,
that's got to be somewhere in the future. That's got to be like on the back burner, just waiting to happen. But there's that, yeah, and like obviously the Daleks haven't shown up. Like I was saying to the guys yesterday, it kind of feels to me like almost they were saving some of that stuff to try and entice Ncuti to do more. Like, oh, okay, you're contracted for 2 years, 2 seasons, whatever. But if you do a third, we'll give you a Dalek story, or like, and for Disney as well. Like, oh, if Disney, if you come in for another season, we'll do Daleks, like, and it'll be amazing and marvelous and fantastic. And obviously, that's not what happened. But yeah, like with the unit character, because we know the unit characters are going to be continuing into the spin-off, which, yeah, I enjoyed the first look trailer for that. I thought that looked really cool. But I suppose it's like, because from what we know, I don't think Mel is in the spin-off, and like not all the characters will be. We know like the crux, like the central characters of like Kate and Ibrahim and their romance or whatever. That's all going to be continuing. But I suppose it's possible that there are some characters there that maybe we won't see again. Like, could you imagine if that was the last we see of Mel now? Like on that,
I think it is
on that screen thing.
I think she's dead. Like, I genuinely think in the original draft of the script, that was it. Because she appears on I was saying this to Pete. She appears on like a computer screen at the end. She's not in the room with them. So it feels like, and then there's that whole confrontation bit with her with the Rani at the beginning. And could I just say the way they reference stuff in this episode? Like when I saw you laugh when Kate said, "Oh yeah, my dad fought Omega in the 70s."
Yeah, it was just completely overkill.
Like,
I was like, "Oh yeah, just
bit
of that." Yeah.
But it felt like that was going somewhere, and then it just never did. But then they have her on a computer screen at the end. So it's like, is there a cutscene where Mel was supposed to die, but they were like, oh, we can't have 2 deaths this episode because technically it's the Doctor. We don't want to upstage one. You know what I mean?
I mean, that was rumoured even before the leaks this year.
Yeah.
There was a rumour about her carking it in the finale. I don't know. Maybe, because I'd have to take a closer look, but like, what was that set that she was in? Like, where was she in that scene? Was it, maybe they reused something from The War Between for that? Because from memory, it kind of looks similar to the stuff we then see in the trailer, like that room she was in. And she was back in her giggle coat, wasn't, or her jacket as well. So
yeah, oddly, even though she should be wearing the orange. Because she drives in on the motorbike in the day on the orange, doesn't she? That's the last time you actually see her. Yeah, so that'll be weird if that's the last we've seen of her, at least for the time being, and other characters as well. It'll be interesting to see what carries over. How much, I suppose, of a fresh slate it will be for Billie, or whatever's coming next, or whether they are going to try and continue stuff. I think with the Pantheon, that's one that actually they could leave now. Like, we've had that thing, that line about the gods leaving one final trick and stuff. And so if this was the end for that, it would make sense. But again, I'm not convinced. If other stuff is going to continue, I mean, like we've touched on already as well, but like Susan, whether a reunion with Susan was a casualty of what happened with the regen, or whether they're going to try and do something else with her. But then Carol Ann isn't getting any younger, and so that just feels awkward and wrong as well. Overall, I'm warming to the idea of this, but it still feels weird. It still feels weird that we don't know exactly what it's going to be as well. I think as well, like, it's just that thing again of going back and retreading old ground, and like constantly riffing on stuff from that original Russell era, and going back to the same sort of names and the same sort of people behind the scenes and in front of the camera as well. And so, yeah, it leaves a bit of a bad taste. But Pete, any final thoughts?
No, just to fit it all in, just see what happens next few years. See, it's a joke that you keep coming back to. They get you in less hard before you're onto the Billie Pipers. So
you're onto the Billie Pipers.
I'm fine as long as it's well written. I'm not bothered. Plays a Doctor.
Exactly. Sack Russell T Davies. We'll say that again.
Joe, any final thoughts? Apart from
that. One thing that is really, really good about this, we've got a new Doctor. Please, for the love of God, get rid of that thing. Can we go back to something like this? Lovely, the Rani sonic screwdriver, sleek,
Ooh,
simple. Not
Yeah,
whatever.
but it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much like a Vindicate. I mean, a gun. It's a bit too much like a gun.
How is that like a gun? Please explain to me.
That's a good
I
point
can't
as
feel
well. Yeah, because obviously
You know what? I
TARDIS
did get
is sticking
excited
around,
because
but the Sonic could change.
when there's that moment between the Doctor and Arani where he sonics her, I thought, oh my god, they've blown it up.
They've done
It's
it.
gone. And then it was fine. So
Oh,
maybe.
my God.
Oh God.
Wow. Well, I suppose on that note, those were our initial thoughts about Billie Piper's return to Doctor Who, introducing Billie Piper, ... space, whatever. Maybe he's the Doctor, maybe not, but let us know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. It'll be very interesting to watch this back in years to come, depending on how things go. And, yeah... The thought of her still like being in the lineup of Doctors feels weird, but I suppose maybe there are still revelations to come with that. We shall see. But anyway, yes, comment below of your thoughts. We'll be back for a proper full review of the episode, everything that Billie Piper wasn't in, all the rest of it, because there was still a lot, and we've touched on it here as well. But a lot to talk about there. So look forward to that. And I suppose there's only one way we can end this, really, after that last bit of chat. Farewell, potentially, to the 15th Doctor's sonic screwdriver.
I mean, mine's broken on the floor now, so there's a lot to do with it.
Your stuff. Bye.